It did not start with noise. It did not begin with crowds in the streets or cameras flashing in Parliament. It began silently, with a minor clerical error, a forgotten reference number, and one suspicious entry inside a dusty government archive. That small, overlooked detail would grow into what analysts now call the single biggest political mistake of Cyril Ramaphosa's life. The documents were never meant to be found. Stored in an outdated facility, coded and classified, they were sealed under layers of bureaucratic red tape. Yet one file, File 47B, as investigators now refer to it, seemed to hold information that had no explanation. It contained signatures, meeting summaries, and correspondences that appeared to contradict several public statements made over the past few years. What puzzled investigators most wasn't just their content, but the fact that they were hidden with great intention. As soon as word of their discovery spread, the atmosphere in the capital shifted. Inside government buildings, security was quietly increased. For the first time in months, senior officials avoided eye contact with journalists. A few members of Parliament were seen arriving unusually early and leaving unusually late, a sign of intense preparation behind closed doors. What was once routine suddenly felt historical. The leaked documents reportedly referenced decisions taken during late-night sessions, involving unnamed consultants, emergency meetings, and last-minute approvals. Some pages were heavily redacted, while others allegedly carried direct links to Ramaphosa himself. There were no public discussions, no debates in Parliament, and no recorded press statements. The questions surrounding those files grew darker. Who authorized these actions? Why were they never declared? And most importantly, who was trying to make sure they stayed buried? Political analysts studying the files warned that this wasn't just about paperwork. It was about accountability, transparency, and possible misuse of executive power. The deeper they looked, the more it appeared that certain decisions had bypassed formal procedures. One former legal advisor claimed that the documents challenged the very structure of lawful governance. Her testimony raised alarm, not because she spoke loudly, but because she said it with absolute calm. Across the country, news outlets attempted to track the origins of the documents. Reports emerged of anonymous sources fearing for their safety. Some declined to speak, others hinted at a coordinated effort to silence them. The public began to notice the sudden shift. Ordinary meetings were cancelled, press briefings became vague, and statements from officials became unusually scripted. Something was being protected, something the nation was not supposed to see. Inside Parliament, a sense of unease began to hover over every discussion. Some members privately worried that this was only the beginning. If more files surfaced, the narrative could change forever. Behind the scenes, legal analysts debated whether certain decisions could be interpreted as violations of constitutional protocol. Each page raised more questions than answers. Each signature seemed heavier than ink. Then came the warning from an unnamed official. The problem is not the documents themselves. The problem is what they reveal, choices made in silence, beyond the reach of public oversight. That statement sent shockwaves across political circles. It suggested that the biggest threat was not the scandal, but the truth behind it. Now, the spotlight turns to what happens next. Investigative teams are reportedly preparing further inquiries. The archives are being re-examined. New sources are coming forward, carefully, cautiously, knowing the risks. The implications are enormous. If any of the findings are confirmed, they could reshape public trust in leadership and force authorities to address actions that were never meant to be traced. For years, the president built his image around reform, accountability, and renewed faith in governance. But the emergence of these hidden documents appears to challenge that image. What began as a simple administrative discovery is now being called a turning point, a moment that might redefine an entire political era. In every major report, one phrase continues to echo. This was never supposed to leave the archive. It is now seen as the biggest mistake of his political life, not because of what was said in speeches, but because of what was signed behind closed doors. History may remember this not as a scandal, but as a silent oversight that changed everything, an unexpected crack in the wall that held for years, until one document slipped through. And once history begins to question the silence, it never stops.